Have you ever started to plan a trip and immediately felt overwhelmed with all the hotel choices? Are you nervous that you aren't going to pick the correct accommodation or that you're going to miss out on an even better choice because there's just too much to search through? Well, we've got you covered. In today's episode, we're going to break down our step by step strategy for booking a great hotel every time.
Welcome to the Travel More Podcast.
Each episode, we share custom itineraries, travel hacks, expert advice, and even stories of our past travel failures to help you level up your travel game.
I'm Shelly, a lover of plans, itineraries, and cheap flights. I'm an expert deal finder with one eye always on the budget.
And I'm Bruce, the improviser, ready to pick up where plans fail to turn letdowns into unexpected trip favorites. We're here to bust through barriers that stop you from making your travel dreams a reality.
So book that flight, buy the tickets, and say hello to your next adventure.
This is the Travel More Podcast. Welcome back to the Travel More Podcast.
Welcome. I almost got.
I didn't let you.
Yeah.
I hit the record button and immediately opened my mouth.
Yeah, that one you did. I was, but
You'll never do that again. It's over. You have only one intro. It's mine now.
If you don't know what we're talking about, the last time I stole his intro. And he was very upset.
Unforgivable.
That's okay. So today, as part of our summer school series, we're just do little bite-size, tidbits of information that end up still being 20-minute episodes because we don't know how to not talk. We're going to talk about how we go through and find good hotels, essentially. And I do want to point out that Bruce and I would say, are kind of what they call like mid-level travelers. So we're not like super luxury, but we're also not typically super budget. We're not couch surfers. We don't even do the thing where you like switch your house. Like some people do that where they like swap houses. We're not. We're paying for hotels, and we're not paying for a bunk in a hostel either.
No, I think we're budget conscious.
Yeah, budget conscious.
And we're flexible, but no, Shelly and I are not looking to just redeem points for those luxury, 5-star, 5-diamond places.
Or book them ever, really.
Right.
And we're also not saying, like I said, in like a 6-person dorm room. You know, we're kind of somewhere in the middle. So when we say we're finding the best hotels, they're the best for us. So sometimes we've had like very bare bones hotels, but they're perfect for what we were looking for.
But I think the important thing is, how do we determine if that's going to be what we want?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's the tips today is, how do you go about finding a hotel that matches your needs?
Yeah, exactly. So this is the exact way I go about looking for the hotels every time I travel. The only time we've had like a truly bad stay, I would say, unless I'm forgetting one, was an Airbnb. And honestly, there were signs that we kind of ignored on that one.
Yeah, but that was also more dipping into cheapest as possible situation.
It was like $30 or something. So I was like, whatever. It was what it was.
If your hotel costs less than like your lunch for two people,
you may just, you may have a story to tell. That's what we'll say.
It's memories.
You may have a story. So first things first, I go through and this is going to sound basic, but I go through and look through any of the hotel sites that I have points for. So that's typically for me, Hyatt first, Marriott second. I don't have a ton of hotel points stacked away, but those are two I do. I've never been disappointed in a Hyatt hotel, and because Chase points are transferable there, I can usually find really good rates for nice hotels. The problem is that they don't have the biggest footprint. So I have 3 Hyatts booked right now. 2 of them are over $300 a night, and we're paying $0 for that. And the other is $500 a night, and again, $0. And they're less than like 50,000 points or 30,000 points, which would be like the 1 cent per point ratio. They're actually much less. So I think the $500 a night one is like 29,000 points a night. So it's like almost half of the price. And the other one is like 12,000 points a night, I think. So definitely good value there. But Hyatt's not everywhere. Like, in fact, it has a pretty small footprint.
And that's why we started with the Marriott card.
Yeah,
just because Marriott's everywhere.
Yes.
But they're not always our favorite hotel.
Well, I think more than that, to me at least, is that they are very expensive in points. So it's like, unless it takes forever to get enough points to book a decent one. You know what I mean? So we get a free night certificate every year for having the Marriott card. So we'll use that obviously if we can. But then other than that, it takes us like 3 years, I feel like, to get enough points for one night. You know what I mean? So it's exactly. Like every year we use one, and then every 3 years we get a second. So we don't use a lot of Marriott. But, if we book it in cash, and we can make points on it too. So sometimes that makes sense. Right now, we actually have 2 Marriotts booked, which is they're once every 3 years. But it's because one is in Panama City, like Panama, the country, not Florida, and the points are very favorable there. So it works every once in a while, but I definitely want to do that first and foremost because if I can use
Well, why
points,
not?
right, that's
Right.
the way. Two big tools that are worth looking into too, especially if you either are looking to open a card to get points for your stay, or if you have points through different economies that you don't want to look each one, are Aways. So that's Away with a Z in the end, and Gondola.ai. So both of those are essentially search engine for hotel award programs. And they show you the price and points on each hotel and whether you can use like a free night certificate. And this is a great tool if you know you're going somewhere in the future and you're deciding like which hotel card you want to open, or if you know somewhere and you just have a lot of currencies that you don't want to look through each one of them. I'm gonna try that Gondola AI, I think, like for
I
my
know this
next
is
one.
kind of newer for us. And I was actually just
Mm-hmm.
thinking about with points and miles. We tend to always use our points for flights,
Yeah.
and we've talked a lot about like that is the biggest way to get more value is when you're
Mm-hmm.
transferring across from your economy, you're getting your points and you're transferring them into the partner to
Yep.
get the flight.
Mm-hmm.
But I've not really, we don't do that as much for hotels.
Well, that's because there's
It's
not as
yeah,
many transfer partners.
no, and exactly, and usually it's not that. I think they just added Marriott. I forget if it was JetBlue or Bonvoy, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that great. It's like the transfers
Yeah.
are almost always like you're spending more than you would with cash.
Well, yeah. So, like, when we'll take Marriott as a good example. So, Marriott, like a night at a very standard hotel, can easily be 45,000 points a night. Um, for 45,000 points, both of us, in fact, we're doing this year, both of us and our baby can get from Boston to Dublin in
Right.
economy for 45,000 points.
Yeah, exactly. It just
So,
doesn't
like,
make.
why am I spending one night in
Yeah,
a
and
Marriott?
I think maybe it's also because hotels are able to sell on their value, or
Mm-hmm.
like you look at accommodations, and because they are a certain level of luxury, so to speak, they always
Mm-hmm.
price them higher per night, whereas
Mm.
flights are either like economy class or you're going to immediately upgrade to a much more expensive,
Yeah.
but
I don't know what's up with Marriott, honestly, but that's why I don't think we use that transfer as much because it's like,
it's just not a deal.
right, it's not a deal. So, anyways, I definitely go look because you might as well, right? If you have the points, use them. But that's, it only works for me sometimes. In fact, more likely than not, it's not going to work for me. So, the next step is kind of like Google Flights, I check Google Hotels. And I literally just see kind of what's in the area. So first, you can kind of tell like what is a major kind of spot in a city by how the hotels are clumped.
Oh yeah, well even sometimes like Google will designate and show you like this is a busy area, this is the downtown.
Right. And so it's very easy to kind of get a lay of the land that way. And I've done that a lot where I'm like, oh, wait, there's like a whole clump of hotels over here, on the west side too. I wonder what that is. And it's led me to some pretty cool neighborhoods. So it's like I'm using that as a twofer. Like, one, I'm looking to see what hotels are available. And two, I'm looking to see like what areas of the city I may not have known were like also kind of hubs,
Yeah,
so to
I
speak.
liked using it too because it both shows you what you might want to avoid
Mm-hmm.
or what you might want to find.
Oh, I like the
Um,
avoid part.
well, and we talked about how to buy hotels or get accommodations in expensive cities.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of going back to that idea of everyone thinks, well, wow, it's going to be really expensive. I'm going to stay in Times Square. And when I go to New York and Manhattan,
Mm-hmm.
why? Why do you need
Yeah.
to stay in Times Square?
Right.
Like if you start exploring other areas and you get familiar with the public transit or how transportation works, it might be way better to stay somewhere different
Mm-hmm.
and travel into your activity, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
might be, and you're going to discover other areas of the city, and it could be cheaper.
Yeah, absolutely. I like because not you don't always want to be like right in the center of everything. Like
Yeah.
when we went to London, I remember we stayed kind of out. Well, we were on the main the tube. Is that what they call it?
Yeah, the underground. No, is it? Yeah, no. The tube is the across the English Channel.
Oh,
Is it? Now I'm not sure. It's the underground. It's the subway. Just call it the subway.
Okay,
Everybody,
okay.
it's just a train.
The subway.
The
Anyways, we were on
The
the
English
stop.
subway.
It was very it was very easy. Someone's gonna come after us.
Yeah,
They're
they
gonna
are.
be
They're gonna be like,
how
what are
do
you
you not
talking
know
about?
this? We stayed on a main stop, so it was like an easy to get into wherever we needed to go. But we weren't in like the serious like Trafalgar Square, and it was just like, I like that better sometimes. I
Yeah.
just like kind of being out. Also, we found that really amazing restaurant that was out there.
Yeah.
Sheila's Cafe.
Oh yeah, the breakfast
That was the
place.
best.
Yeah.
So you can find like little hidden gems, like actual neighborhoods where like people live.
Yeah, well,
And
London's a
they're
good example because it's so big and sprawling.
Yeah.
We stayed was at Paddington, Kensington area.
Yeah, I think so.
So really nice place to
Kind of
sleep
like
at night because
exactly.
it's quieter.
Yeah,
and
and
then
it's
you
like a
can
real
go back.
neighborhood.
Yep.
You can like actually go to places that aren't like charging 3 times the amount for everything because you're in the tourist area.
And we did that in Copenhagen too.
Yes, we did.
So we weren't anywhere near, I guess, where the more visited, or like let's call them the TripAdvisor top 10. Like they're gonna have the big museum, or they're gonna have like the downtown whatever. But this goes for like cities especially.
Yeah.
But I think I would typically want to avoid that. Not everyone would, but you're usually gonna find cheaper and nice accommodations. And in Copenhagen, you just rent a bike.
Yeah, right. Well, and that's the thing. And this goes, like you said, kind of. This is where we're like almost piggybacking now off of our how to find cheap accommodations in expensive cities episode. We like that, and this only really works though if you can get into where you're looking to get to easy. Like so for example, a subway or a bike,
right.
or it's a really walkable city, has a good bus.
They go hand in hand. So this kind of goes back to how do you find the best hotels? Remember, best hotels for you.
Yeah, exactly.
These are the ways you look. Google. So going back to these strategies, Google Maps is awesome for this because it starts to give you a picture of what it's going to be like
when you're
traversing.
there. Yeah.
And what you're looking. If you don't want to ride a bike, then that's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to take taxis and you don't care about and you don't want to be on a subway, that's good to know.
Yeah, actually, and as we're talking about this, a reminder, because we've mentioned this before in the past, but Rome to Rio is a great use of like, how do I get to somewhere else that I need to? And then they'll usually tell you like, there's a bus, there's a subway, there's a ferry, whatever.
Yep.
We use that usually for longer treks, but it is still good in a city.
Yep. Rome to Rio, don't just go off Google. Always cross-check.
Yeah.
Especially in different countries, because sometimes as good as Google can be, it doesn't always account for things like, on Sundays, there's this.
Or sometimes it can like over account for things. Like I know people always come to me about Disney and they're like, it says it's going to be a 50-minute bus ride from the All-Stars to Animal Kingdom. And I'm like, it's not.
Yeah. Nope.
So I don't know why sometimes Google just messes it up. Anyways, so the next thing I do is I go to booking.com. Now you're going to be like, wait a minute, literally the last episode was why not to use third parties. But I don't necessarily book at booking.com. I use it like as a search engine because it has many a time shown me some really cool boutique hotels.
Yes, and you can also filter.
Yeah.
Right, so that it is a helpful search engine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would not skip this step. I would actually do this pretty much every time. I do this every time just to see what's out there. And again, honestly, more likely than not, I think this is how I found the best hotels is using this.
I think it's kind of ironic that we don't book using booking.com. It's like searching.com.
Yeah, I know.
It's like its name.
It's literally called booking.com. Yeah. So if I can't really find anything like affordable, I'll typically Google. Like I'll literally put in the Google search bar like budget hotel brands city. Like so like budget hotel brands Oslo was like one I did fairly recently. And this is how I found like the Thon hotels like in Oslo. That ended up being like awesome all around the city. Plus, it's like nice to know exactly what you're getting. You know what I mean? Because like if you travel a lot within your trip, like you're not just staying in one place, but you're like kind of traversing around. It is kind of nice to know like when I get there, I'm gonna say this hotel brand that like I've been staying at,
and it consistently has good breakfast,
exactly.
And it's that can be really helpful.
So that's another one is like, I kind of look up, like, is there a brand? Like Ibis is another one.
That's right. I was trying to think of it. Ibis was in France.
Yeah. But I think they're a lot of Europe. Yeah. So it's just nice. I'm sure there's another kind of one that's in a lot of Asian countries. We just haven't visited Asia yet.
I'm sure, different places have their like Holiday Inn chain or Ibis or Thon or whatever.
Right. And like they're affordable. They're nice. They're predictable. And again, you can kind of get some loyalty if you're really going to be moving around a lot. So I like to look those up again, just as another point of reference to see like what else is there.
But it's a good tip. We've kind of started in, these are all like ways to search.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like searching through your loyalty or your card, points and miles type of whatever you have, Marriott or Hyatt, searching through them, and then searching using Google Maps, and then searching using booking.com.
And a big one is, what do you actually put into Google?
Yeah,
Like
right.
literally saying like a cheap accommodation with breakfast in this area. Like the way Google works and the way people who blog know that they're going to put these kind of like markers in there so that you get the most relevant information.
Yeah.
So you just don't want to put like hotel Sweden.
Yeah, right.
You can
Well, you're gonna
literally
get a
say
lot.
like,
Yeah. And then going on to our last little bit is I do try Airbnb, but I really only do that if I'm not getting other like hits. So those other ones I just said, I pretty much do every time, just so I can get like multiple things to compare to. You know what I mean? Like, I don't stop like at Hyatt, even if I see a good Hyatt. I'm probably gonna keep searching just to see, before I actually book. So it's not like I go like one and then if that doesn't work, I go two and then it doesn't work. Like I do all four of those things no matter what. The Airbnb step is really only if like I'm not getting a lot.
it depends, because we've talked about why would you use Airbnb or not. I think this has to do with where you're going and what the economy is like there and the industry.
Yeah.
And also what you're looking for. So I know we are using Airbnbs in our trip to Italy because we wanted to get a place that was more like an apartment so that we'd have washer and dryer because we're traveling with our.
Yeah, but again, I mean, I did all those other things. Like I looked at Hyatt, I looked at I did the Google search, I did booking.com and actually had something else booked before we went back and I canceled it and did an Airbnb instead because I really wasn't getting what I wanted.
Well, that goes back to how do you find the best for you in the situation.
Right, exactly.
But I agree, because those are kind of like your first lines of searching.
Yeah.
Right?
I do them every single time.
Because it's almost like a rule out
Yeah.
process. It's like, let's see what they have in general for this. Does it meet my needs? No. Next step.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. I don't really do that. I do all of them.
Oh, well, that's what I meant. It's like Airbnb is like
that is
the final.
Yes.
Yeah.
So all of four of those I do every single time.
Because that gives you the like spread so that you can rule out.
That's like that meme I always see. I think it's Charlie Day has like all the things on the wall.
Yeah.
From like Always Sunny, and he's like has the pinpoints.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like
yes,
like looking for a serial killer or something. Like that's how I feel like
that's
I do.
how you feel like you're
hotel.
hunting for a serial killer.
Yeah, that's how I found the good ones.
Like,
the good hotels. So that's like my fourth step is that like thing on the wall with like the pins in it.
Is this like John Nash in A Beautiful Mind? It's like
yes.
plastered. Yeah, this is what Shelly looks like when I find her like early in the morning.
It's like all the lights are off.
Yes, that's what I mean. Like you just the glow of her computer screen from the room and just typing away, and there's maps on the wall. And where are we going next, Shelly?
Yeah, but what he doesn't know is that's like my plan for like 3 years in the future. Yes. It's like not even next.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyways, if all of my craziness doesn't work, then I go to Airbnb. It's usually always my last kind of look, and that one I'll skip. So like those other ones I won't skip. The Airbnb I will skip if I find something good in the other ones. The reason I skip Airbnbs is because they're just not as predictable. And the check-in is different and the check-out is different and what you are required to do. Like some people have you like clean their whole house. Like, I don't know. Sometimes it's like I don't really want to bother with it, but they are good. Like the Italy ones, like we're really excited about because like what he said. And also they have a kitchen. Like we have a baby,
they seem to, I know, because like we've talked about the pros and cons. I do think a pro that they've recently changed is when you're searching, you're seeing all those fees up front.
Thank goodness.
And that was a huge one, because anyway, you can go back and listen to our episode about Airbnb. And
yeah.
So
we'll link it at the bottom just for funsies. And then in terms of knowing like if you found a good one, a good hotel or Airbnb, I just as a general rule, I typically don't do anything while traveling that doesn't have at least a 4.2 rating on Google. Anything. I don't eat there. I don't go there. I don't do anything without like a 4.2. Typically, we're looking for more like 4.5.
Yeah, I think in like anything above 4. If anything's below 4,
if it's near 4,
sus,
I'm going to the reviews. Like, you know what I mean? If I've heard someone else tell me about it and it's like a 4, 4.1, 4.2, I'm probably not going to do it, but I might give it a chance. I might read the reviews and see like what exactly people are not into about it. Because sometimes people are weird and they put weird reviews and it's like, well, duh. Like,
well, that's exactly like you have to know how to read. You can sort on Google and you can start looking at some of your 1 stars. And if people are arguing about like something that was their fault.
No, dude, it's like the National Geographic one. It's like too many trees, and like the national parks are
so
like
much sand, nothing to do.
Right. So there's some of those. So like you got to get rid of those. And then if you're like, the things that people are complaining about, I actually don't care about, then I might try it. But really, if it doesn't have a 4.2.
It is curious the way Google works. I feel like nobody ever leaves like you either leaving a 4 or a 5 or a 1.
Yeah, right.
Because it's not like a ranking of your preference where 3 would be like, yes, it's good.
Right. Average.
No, you're like 5 is I love this, 4 is like I love it, but there was something I had to say just a little bit.
Yeah.
And then 1 is like
I'm mad about it.
I'm mad about
exactly.
it. Right.
So also just to mention here, I only use Google really to rank things. I don't use Yelp ever.
Yeah, Yelp sucks.
Ever.
Yelp is like bought and sold.
Yeah, I don't like it at all.
I don't trust Yelp. They call us all the time. Anyway, they want to list business. Doesn't matter what your business is.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan. I used to work at a place that had like a weird Yelp things, and it was like they would only show our bad reviews because we didn't pay for them. But if you like clicked show hidden ones, there were like tons of amazing reviews, and it was like, why are these hidden? They're real customer reviews. Like I know the customer. They're not connected to the business. They don't, you know what I mean? It was just weird. So
I also noticed recently when I was looking for a lawnmower that Google highlighted reviews that were incentivized. So you could actually see. I mean, that's not the worst thing in the world because, like, you know, it's like post a picture and write a review, and we'll give you $5.
Yeah,
it still could be an honest review.
Yeah.
But it's good to know that someone did this because they got something out of it.
Yeah.
So
anyways, going back to the idea of the things that we look for in reviews, which this is probably true for most people, but for us, the one big one that will immediately tell Bruce, like, I'm not booking this, is if it says a hot room.
Yeah.
Like if it's too
the
hot,
air
is stagnant or no air conditioning or anything about it being hot, Bruce is not going to book it.
Done.
Obviously, the other big ones for us are cleanliness, and safety, But those are the things that we look for.
Yeah, cleanliness, safety, and
for
hot.
Bruce, temperature.
And definitely check out if there's something that's like this is not what we bought.
Oh yeah,
right? Like the
big
obvious ones where it's like this is nothing like what was advertised,
or like the pictures don't look like the rooms. Like that's always a red flag.
Yep.
And then we base it on location after that. So yeah, those are my recommendations for finding the best hotels. I know it sounds a little crazy, but I mean, I personally like making my weird little map with all the things attached in the glow of the computer.
Just find you a Shelly that does this, and you'll be happy. That's the real tip today.
Yep. But I will. I'll link all the things that I just said if they're like websites on the bottom, so you don't have to take notes or anything. I had someone tell me they're like, I listened to your podcast, but now I have to listen to it again because I didn't take any notes. So now I have to.
You need Cliff Notes.
I know. That's what I'm going to do at the bottom. So
Spark
Cliff Notes,
yeah.
Spark Notes at the bottom. Anyways, that is all for us today, and we'll see you next week for more summer school. Did you know that every time you book a Disney or Universal vacation, you're paying for a service that you may not even be using?
Really?
That's right. Travel agent costs are added to your Disney or Universal vacation, whether you use one or not.
So you're telling me that I'm paying for something even though I'm not getting the help?
You got it. So next time you want to book a theme park vacation, make your money work for you. By booking with Magic Pass Travel, you'll get our expertise and years of experience without paying any extra and while supporting a small business.
Check out our show notes to find our contact information.
Can't wait to help you plan your next adventure.